What up, fam? So you might be asking, like, why am I at Home Depot right now just chilling here with David's S3 without David? Like, that's kind of weird. I'm actually on my way. Well, I'm meeting David right now and I actually have no idea. I'm not even playing a joke on you guys. I don't know where David is. We are going up north, probably another 30 minutes into New Hampshire to pick up something new for the channel, something that's gonna make the channel that much better. So I'm really excited. And then later on today, what I wanna do is basically go over like all of my camera gear, all the gear I use to get the job done when I'm filming, whether that's cameras, tripods, editing software, Photoshop software. Oh, jog it in, Dave, jog it in. Yes. Oh, that's all right. I got jumper cables in the Prelude. Hey. Yes, sir. All right, guys, back home. I picked up the goods and I'm excited to say that it's definitely gonna be sick for the channel, and I'm so stoked to tell you about it. So, back to my original point, what I wanted to do today was actually talk about all the gear that I use to help me get the job done when it comes to filming these vlogs, getting cinematic footage of the cars, editing, all that good stuff, making thumbnails, like everything I use to get the job done. So without further ado, I'm gonna start with the camera, and obviously I can't show you the camera and film with it at the same time, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to my phone. So I apologize for the lesser quality content, but I'll be back on the camera as soon as I explain the camera to you. So switching over to iPhone. And now we're back on the Canon G7X. So this is what the difference is, if you guys can tell, going from iPhone to the Canon. That's the difference, both audio, mic 2, check 1, 2, 2, 2. That's the difference. So I hope you guys like the content that comes from this camera. I am hoping to upgrade to another camera with the ability to get an external mic, and then I also want the ability to swap out lenses. So I am kind of like passively shopping around for new cameras. I'm not really jumping on anything yet. I think that's gonna probably wait until around Christmas time when the deals are out and all that good stuff. But let's jump into the rest of my gear here. If any of you guys have been on the channel for a long time, you know exactly what this is. This is my homemade camera stabilizer that I built out of PVC pipe. I did make a video on it, which didn't do too well on views, so I take it no one really cares for this, but I think it's cool. It actually helped get me started in car photography and using a stabilizer and trying to get better footage with nothing but about $10 from Home Depot and some PVC, so that's pretty cool. This is a polarizing lens for the Canon G7X, so if I were to put it on the camera, it does darken it up because it's basically tinted, but it does polarize the video footage coming through, so it definitely helps in daylight when there's a lot of glare, or if you're shooting cars and it's really sunny, this will actually get rid of a lot of the glare, which is nice. One other thing while I'm on the topic of polarizers is the Canon G7X, like I said, you cannot take the lens off. It is what it is, and there's not a lot of polarizing lenses, so this one doesn't have like the adjustable, I think it's an ND filter, I'm not 100%, but this one does not have that. It's literally just a polarizer, and it was really the only one I could find on the internet that actually supports this lens. So if you guys want to pick it up, if you have a Canon G7X or something like that, you know, take a look at it. I'll have it linked down below. Next up is the laptop. Actually, we'll get into this later. As far as my handheld stabilizer or little tripod, this is what I use. It's a Manfrotto. You can see it right there. And it's pretty simple. It just screws right onto the camera. It's got an adjustable top here, so if you press this button, you can basically move it around. And then of course it fans out like this, and you can get some kind of lower shots, so it only stands about 6 inches or so off the ground, but it's nice. It does the job, and this is actually what I used primarily when I was just getting started. Now I use that mainly for like really low to the ground type time-lapse stuff, anything where I'm gonna have the camera just sitting. I actually don't use it as like a handheld tripod much anymore. I actually prefer, after just vlogging for the last year and a half, I actually prefer just to hold the camera in my hand while I'm doing it, like I'm talking to you right now. I just think it works better that way. But sometimes I think that the handheld tripod gets in the way when I'm just trying to move quickly and do things with the camera. So I actually prefer to just shoot handheld like this now. And again, I just use the little tripod when I'm doing low to the ground, you know, stuff that I need that thing for. I've got one battery in the camera, but this is my spare battery, so always clutch to have. If you guys are doing any sort of YouTubing, vlogging, filming, car photography, second battery, you already know it's clutch. This little guy is my GoPro Hero 4. Thank you to my buddy Davis for giving this to me. He basically was just not using it, so I actually felt that the channel and myself would make better use of it, and I use this a lot for like car point of view type stuff. So you guys have seen me use this when I've mic'd up the car for like exhaust videos, point of view shots while driving. This is pretty much what I use because I don't have a mount for my Canon camera for the car. So anytime I need to suction cup a camera to the car, this is my go-to. Obviously it's clutch for like action sports and whatnot, so I do snowboarding and mountain biking, and I try to use this as much as possible. But again, thank you Davis for hooking me up with this thing. It's sweet. And I do use this, actually talking about the GoPro, this is my suction cup mount that I use for car stuff, so I can mount it to the windshield, the sunroof, outside of the car on the body panels. This is basically what I use to get all my exhaust shots. Anything that's outside of the car, this is what you're seeing. And if we come over here, I've got more tripods. So I picked this one up actually from Walmart about a month ago. It's pretty basic, you know, it just stands like that, and it actually does elevate to right about, I think it's probably about 6 feet. No, it's probably about 5 feet that it goes up. So this one is actually really nice for when I'm doing work on the car, like a time-lapse type thing, where this one just isn't going to cut it and I need to get the camera higher off the ground. So when I was doing like the engine bay stuff, I was actually had this thing fully extended up and then looking down into the engine bay, which made that really helpful. And then I can obviously get you guys all the money shots. You can basically pick one of these up for as much money or as little money as you want. I know tripods that go for like well up to $1,000, and this one I picked up again from Walmart for like 35 bucks. So it does the job. I mean, it's not like a gimbal where the camera's gonna be moving a lot. It just literally sits on top of that. So in my opinion, I didn't need to pick up the nicest one. I just needed something that would literally get my camera up off the ground 5 feet or so without me holding it. Let's move on to the laptop. So I use my, I think this is actually a 2011 MacBook Pro, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I've been using this for like the last 6-7 years, and obviously this is my only computer, so I do all of my editing on this. Everything you guys have seen from the channel has been created right here on this laptop. So with this, I do everything from editing the videos, editing my photos for Instagram, making my thumbnails for YouTube. Everything is basically done on this camera. I mean, everything is basically done on this laptop, and it is not the fastest laptop in the world. Also something else I need to upgrade in the future, but your boy is spending money on car parts, trying to get you guys some videos, so the laptop's just gonna have to wait. That's a pretty penny, so I'm making do with what I have for now. So when I first started the channel, I was on iMovie, which is just the factory software that comes on most MacBooks. You know, typical stuff. So it's nothing special. I did all of my editing for probably the first year that I was on YouTube. I used nothing but iMovie, and I actually had really good luck with it. I was limited by the amount of features that are actually in that program. There's not too much, but if you're just getting started with YouTube and editing videos and you're new to this whole thing, it's actually a great program because everything is very simple and laid out for you. There's plenty of YouTube videos on like how to do certain things in that program. But eventually I did grow out of it, and now I actually do all my editing for my videos in Adobe Premiere. And I've had a lot more luck with Adobe Premiere just because of the extra options that it gives me when editing. So like I said, my skill set was here, and then I started working on iMovie, and then I became limited, and now I'm using Adobe Premiere, and I have all this extra room for growth when it comes to editing. So if you're just getting started, don't be worried about just starting on iMovie. It's free, it's not gonna cost you anything, and you can get the job done. I did it for a year. I made probably close to 100 videos on nothing but iMovie, so can be done. But if you're in a position where you know your way around video editing software and you're pretty comfortable with it and you need something more challenging that'll give you more benefits, then maybe look into something like Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro, There's some free ones out there like DaVinci Resolve. I haven't really played around with much, but I can't say enough about Adobe Premiere. So far it's been really fun, really easy to work with, and actually very similar if you're coming from iMovie. And if we talk about more software, I use Photoshop to basically edit all of my photos for Instagram, all my car pictures for other people, and thumbnails. Did I already say that? My thumbnails for YouTube I make on Photoshop. Pretty straightforward. If you guys don't or haven't used Photoshop, it's not too difficult. There are a lot of ins and outs to it, so if you're just getting started, I recommend spending a couple hours on YouTube and just try and learn your way around the program. It's not as bad as you would think, and there's a lot of buttons on there, but once you start using them and you actively learning it, everything becomes way more simple, I promise you. So just start with something simple. You can go through like free courses on Photoshop, and it will definitely make your photography 100 times better. Now, actually going back to the laptop, so like I mentioned, this thing is old and it doesn't run that great, and I've had it for years. And for actually up until about 2 months ago, I was basically filming all my footage for a vlog and then taking it off the camera and putting it directly onto my hard drive onto the laptop. And I did that consecutively for, like I said, about 100 videos or so. Up until about 2 months ago, I decided to actually pick up a external hard drive. So this is one that I got off Amazon. It was like 20 bucks. But what this allows me to do is not necessarily slow down my computer by constantly writing new memory onto the hard drive. So what I do now is I take my footage off of the camera, I plug my external hard drive into the laptop, and then I drag and drop my footage from my camera directly onto the external hard drive, so that way it never actually writes that media and all that footage onto my laptop. Because just real quick, if you guys aren't into computers and stuff, you only have a certain amount of space on your laptop for memory, right? So you can't just go and fill it all up. So what I was doing was deleting the footage after I finished editing and I didn't need it anymore, I would delete it. But what that does do, on your hard drive disk, you can only write and rewrite so much information before it really starts to slow down the computer. So after countless vlogs of putting so much footage on this, then deleting it and then rewriting and deleting it and rewriting, it just slowed the computer down a lot to the point where I needed to pick up an external hard drive and do things a little different. So if any of you guys are out there dealing with a lot of media, a lot of photography, or a lot of pictures and video, then pick up an external hard drive. They're not that expensive, and you'll be doing yourself a favor in the long run because you won't be necessarily bogging down your computer as much. Whew, that was a lot. I think that's pretty much it. And yeah, I think that's it. So one thing that we picked up today, and I'm super psyched on, I just spent the last hour kind of playing around with it. I'll show you guys what it looks like. This, ladies and gentlemen, is about to change the game for this channel. I picked up a gimbal, or a stabilizer, like an actual stabilizer, not one made out of PVC, but it is funny, actually, before I get into this, the guy that I bought this from off of, actually, Facebook Marketplace, Matt was his name, so shout out to Matt. He actually built this PVC stand for the gimbal, so that way it can just kind of sit on there. But I thought that was hilarious because he did the same thing, PVC, painted it black. Basically the same thing that I did with my old stabilizer, as you can tell. So I just thought that was funny, kind of ironic how we made full circle. Your boy upgraded from that, and I still got PVC. This is a Zion, I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, but it's the Crane V2 stabilizer, or gimbal, whatever you want to call it. So he did actually put on these carbon fiber handlebars here, with obviously grips on both sides. So what's cool about that is you can have basically the camera down below inverted, and you can get those really low shots of like wheels and, you know, low cars and all that stuff. I just think this thing is going to make my footage a hell of a lot better. It's obviously going to make it more sturdy, more stable. But one issue I'm running into, and I'm a little bummed, but I'm going to figure it out, is this camera stabilizer is something I can grow into. So it's a little bit overkill for the Canon G7X Mark II, which is, again, the camera that I'm filming on. It's a bit overkill for this camera just because the camera itself is pretty small, lightweight, and it doesn't have interchangeable lenses. So again, it's a gimbal I can grow into. So as I mentioned, I was looking into buying a new camera. That's gonna happen down the road, obviously one with interchangeable lenses, so that'll be helpful. But reason I'm bringing this up is the Canon G7X is a pretty light, small camera, and because it's so light, it actually is just underneath the weight threshold for the Xeon Crane 2, Crane version 1, whatever that gimbal is called. It's a little bit underweight, so right now I'm basically just trying to figure out how to counterweight it and make the stabilizer think that the camera weighs more. So I tried basically getting a bunch of washers, putting them on here, and then putting it onto the camera stabilizer to try and add weight, but that didn't seem to do it. I just ordered a rubber case for the G7X and a screen protector, so trying to add some more weight where I can, but I'll get it working eventually, and then I can show you guys what the footage will look like. But I've played around with it a little bit, got it steady for a second, got some footage, and it looks sick. I'm so excited. And for all the people that hit me up to do like video shoots of their cars, a lot of people have actually asked if I will make them videos of their cars, and I would love to. The reason I haven't been accepting that type of work is because people want to pay me for it, which I'm totally cool with. You know, I'm doing something for you. It's a business transaction. The thing is, I'm not comfortable charging people yet for my footage, just because I'm doing this all on a point and shoot camera, just no stabilizer, no nothing. And to be honest, I just didn't think my video quality was up to par to be charging people, so I've never accepted jobs like that. But to anyone that asked me to get video shots of their cars, make a little 1-minute video for Instagram, something like that, I will happily be saying yes, because I believe the content I'll be creating now is going to be buttery smooth and it's going to be good. So I'm excited to bring this to the channel. I'm excited for you guys to see the footage that I can get from this thing. I just, again, need to get the counterweight thing situated and we'll be all good. But I just want to make this video for anyone who's thinking about starting YouTube, was inspired by the channel, wants to start up their own car channel. I hope this helps you. I hope it brings or sheds some light on the gear that I use and how I get the job done. If you guys would be interested in maybe seeing like how I edit, or maybe edit photos or something, put it down in the comments. I can maybe, or I was thinking about doing like a live stream of me editing, and then you guys can kind of see my workflow and how things go. But yeah, I guess for now I'm gonna hopefully get this gimbal working properly, get you guys some cinematics in the next videos, and you guys can be the judge and let me know if it's worth it. But thank you guys so much for watching. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you next time. Keep elevating, and peace out.